Okay, good morning. It's a beautiful Saturday afternoon. Had a nice breakfast, a couple sirloin steaks. Took my little boy to swim class, and I had those again in the little cinder grill. I put it on 130. When I got back from swimming, they were already perfectly at 130, and then I just pressed a sear button, and the dog's barking, and that it seared it up really nicely. But the topic of this video, and I don't have exercise in this one. Sorry, guys. I know some of you guys will be very happy. Some of you guys will be disappointed. Probably what I'll be doing today is some rowing, probably a 1K or something like that. Hopefully with a good time. I'll put that up on Instagram. So the topic today is, why are people fat? Why are some vegans skinny? And who's going to live the longest? All right, well, let's talk about obesity. Now, a lot of people like to talk about it in terms of calories in, calories out, and there is certainly some relevance to that. I've never discounted that calories are irrelevant, but importantly is appetite regulation, satiety. Those things become very important. And we talk about what has happened in our modern food environment is our food quality from a nutrition standpoint, not a caloric standpoint, but from an absolute nutrition standpoint, things like essential fats, essential protein, amino acids, and vitamins and minerals, has really diminished per unit of calorie. And so we call that stuff junk food. And so we have that stuff. It's everywhere. It's ubiquitous. And as our body has an appetite regulation system that's designed to have us acquire the nutrients we need. And so one of the nutrients is calories, but they're also, again, essential fats, essential amino acids, vitamins, and minerals. And the body will continue to send out hunger signals until it gets what it needs. And so if we continue to eat low quality, junk food, which is almost always plant food derived, just to put that in real terms, most of our American diet is plant food at 70% plus, and the majority of it is processed junk food. But as we continue to eat that stuff, our body just doesn't get satisfied. So we're continually hungry. We've all experienced it. We've eaten some processed carbohydrate food, and 2 hours later we're hungry again because our body's saying, okay, I need nutrition, I need nutrition, I need nutrition. I'm going to continue to be hungry. And so we end up overeating. We eat too many calories of junk food. And we know from studies that people that are exposed to an ultra-processed diet will just eat more calories because, in my view, they're not meeting their nutritional requirements. And your body is saying, give me more, I'm always hungry. And so that happens. So now, what happens on a vegan diet is, and again, there are many fat vegans. Certainly a lot of vegans that continue to eat the junk food, the Oreo cookies and the Beyond Meat burgers, they're just going to stay fat. But the ones that go whole food plant-based, the ones that are eating leafy green vegetables and the beans and the quinoa and some of these things, those guys often will lose weight. And the reason that occurs is not that their hunger has been slaked. They're still hungry. They're always constantly eating. They're constantly snacking. But the food is of such poor nutritional quality, relatively speaking, with regard to how much nutrition they can actually absorb relative to the massive food they're eating, that they're actually under-eating calorically or nutritionally. They lose weight. That is to say that eating all this fiber-rich food, most of it just ends up in the toilet. That's why they're going to the bathroom, 3, 4, 5, 6 times a day, having bowel movements. And all the anti-nutrients in the food are just preventing absorption of food and calories. And so it's low, a lot of it can be low-calorie food, fibrous leafy greens and stuff like that. There's no calories in there. So you fill up, but you're not really getting good nutrition. And so you lose weight, you lose muscle mass. Almost all of them lose muscle mass. Now, there are a few exceptions out there. These guys that are eating all kinds of protein powders and doing the resistance training can better manage to hang on to their muscle mass than the average vegan person will. So this is why we see a lot of skinny vegans out there. And that does have a health benefit. Going from obese to thin will help. There's no doubt about it. But that's still not the best option for you. And so the better option is to eat nutrient-dense, highly bioavailable food, i.e. meat, that will quell your appetite, but at the same time provide you high-quality nutrition that you can absolutely absorb. So many carnivores, the same thing. They get lean, they preserve muscle mass, they lose body fat, which again is a good thing, but at the same time, their appetite goes down. They don't eat as much food. In fact, carnivores probably eat, based on the statistics and the survey data that I've accumulated about what I put this out the other day, compared to the standard American diet eater who's eating 2,000 pounds a day. The average carnivore is eating, or 2,000 pounds of food a year. The average carnivore is eating, something like 600 to 800 pounds. So we're eating probably 30 to 40% of the food volume that everyone else is eating. So, and that has, and again, I pointed out in another video, that has impacts on positive environmental impacts on, food utilization, cooking costs, electricity costs, water costs, food waste costs, just garbage costs, so on and so forth. And so who's going to live the longest here? And so this is a good question. So the answer is, we really don't know. Anybody that says they know that this diet is going to make you live longer than that is just blowing smoke up your ass. Now, you can listen to guys like Walter Longo, who will tell you that based on his fruit fly studies or his mice studies, that when they restrict protein, these animals live longer. And then he's used some cherry-picked NHANES data to sort of skew the fact that that adults eat more protein in their midlife, have shorter life expectancies. That sort of scenario has been strongly contested by guys like Don Layman, one of the leading protein researchers in the world, who I had on my podcast. And you can listen to the HBO podcast, Human Performance Outliers podcast with Don Layman. He goes very pointedly to criticize Longo's work, and he talks about how he cherry-picked the NHANES data and he ignored all the data that didn't support his supposition, and the fact that when we look at actual human data, not fruit flies, not mice, not worms, actual human data, we know that one of the best predictors for longevity, irrespective of diet, right, is going to be lean muscle mass and strength. This is the key here. Long life, and you can look at the Honolulu longevity study. It shows one of the most powerful effects is maintaining strength and muscle mass. Now, it doesn't mean huge bodybuilder, steroid muscles, but if you're in the top quartile of strength for your age group, you're going to live the longest. And so that means people that tend to be stronger are just going to live longer. So on average, again, this is average, there are exceptions all over the place. On average, people that eat meat have a better capacity to maintain strength and muscle mass. That's clear. I don't think there's any doubt about it. It's not to say there aren't exceptions, but in general terms, meat eaters, and particularly people that will also engage in strength training, are going to have a huge advantage for longevity. So that is basically, the deal. So in my view, eat meat, stay strong, and live long. If you want to go vegan, make sure you get enough protein, do your strength training. Vegan diet is, again, there are a lot of problems with that. In my view, I've never told people, if that's what floats your boat, go do that. The problem we run into, again, is the vegans trying to, force that dietary philosophy on everybody else who doesn't want to do that. And clearly many vegans are getting sick. We see that every day with, what we're seeing, ex-vegans all having problems. Sometimes eating at massive amounts of food that it takes to put on muscle. And this is why I say there's no such thing as a vegan bodybuilder, because if we look at veganism, and vegans will say this is an ethical decision, it's not a diet, it's not a diet description, it's an ethical decision. So if the ethical decision is to do the least harm, right, and just granted, vegan food kills lots and lots of animals, all the the field mice and all that stuff that's killed, and you guys say it's unintentional, and it's not unintentional. These are intentional deaths. The definition of a pesticide is to kill things. Farmers are actively shooting and killing, pest animals that are eating the crops. So it's not unintentional. But so if you are a vegan, quote unquote, bodybuilder, and your goal is to put on the maximum amount of muscle that you can, and the only way you can do that is by eating more food than you would otherwise need, you are therefore not doing the least harm. You are increasing the amount of animal deaths, suffering, and cruelty, and these animals are just dying, bleeding to death in the field. They're not even being eaten. So, like I said, there's no such thing as a vegan bodybuilder. So you might as well just say, stay skinny. I mean, if you want to be a vegan, you need to be skinny. You need to not eat very much. I mean, this is how you do the least harm, and then that has impacts on health and longevity. But, many vegans don't care about their own health or the health of their children and so on and so forth. And so, all right, guys, what else? Auto Wild is still running that discount, so I know they've got almost a $200 savings on their grill. The Cinder also is got a $50 sale on that. I'll link both of those in the video below. You guys subscribe, tell your friends about it. This is one thing, I put this on my Instagram today. Human beings are not supposed to be in pain. We're not supposed to have joint pain. We're not supposed to get fat as we get old. We're not supposed to have digestive issues. We're not supposed to be depressed. We're not supposed to have all kinds of issues, right? All these things that we consider normal, a normal consequence of aging, that's not normal. You should be, in your 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, still performing well, feeling well, being able to run, jump, do whatever, and not have digestive discomfort, and not be depressed, and all those things. That's not, again, that is not normal human physiology. I mean, it's very common. It's extremely common because we're eating just an absolute garbage diet. This plant-based processed food diet that most of us are on is just not human appropriate diet. We evolved because of meat. Meat gave us robust health for millions of years that humans have been on the planet. And again, assuming you guys believe in evolution, I know some of you don't, but and that's the food that has kept us alive and robust. And so I would point out to those people that say, well, I don't want to do that because I'm scared. What is eating 2 months of steak going to do if you feel that eating 2 months of steak and eggs, or steak and eggs and a little liver, is going to cause irreparable damage to you? That's just ridiculous. Try it for 2 months, see what happens. Come experience what living like an actually fully normally functioning human being feels like. Once you feel that and experience that, there's really no going back. Most people that do a carnivore diet, most of them will stay with it or stay very close to it. They'll stay 90%. They may concede, maybe that little piece of fruit or a piece of dark chocolate here and there. Or once in a while they'll go off the diet. But most people, they experience such profound improvements in their health and life and well-being and mental health that they just want to stay there. And so this is what happens. It's kind of like a trap, so to speak. Once it's like, why wouldn't you want to feel good all the time? All right, guys. That's it. We'll talk to you later, and hope everyone's having a good day. Bye-bye.